If narcissism was the primary mark of villainy on The Bachelorette, then the show would have lost one of its best on Monday's episode. In reality, however, Jordan Kimball was never much of a villain. As Becca Kufrin herself pointed out, his feud with David Ravitz was strictly 6th grade level stuff. Chris Randon gets some tips on writing a love song for Becca Kufrin from Vegas entertainer Wayne Newton on The Bachelorette. Paul Hebert, ABC. Happily, they both got shown the door Monday after a 2-on-1 turned into a 2-on-none. But never fear, though Jordan departed with his arrogance and his gold briefs intact, someone else picked up the narcissist ball and ran with it. That would be sales trainer Chris Randon, who has apparently decided he's Becca's best hope for wedded bliss. Whatever, dude. Chris survived the rose ceremony after Becca got wind of the tantrum he threw after the group date, but it looks like he'll turn the obnoxiousness to 11 on next week's episode, or so we hope. Article continued. Bella wears a look at what went down Monday. Date no. 1 with Colton, Becca and 12 of the men headed to Las Vegas, where we had to endure stupid puns about love being like gambling, blah, blah, blah. Then Becca took Colton camel riding in the desert to get over the humps of our past relationship. Oh groan. Becca was supposedly checking out her chemistry with Colton, but it's been clear for a while she's hot for the ex-football player, his previous entanglement with her pal Tia notwithstanding. Indeed, they got into a hot tub in the middle of nowhere where much smooching ensued. At dinner, Colton confessed that he'd only been in love once before and that woman dumped him. That's sort of why for me being in love has confusion and pain associated with it, he said. Becca was not alarmed by any of this. On the contrary, she said she was totally down with Colton's assertion that he wouldn't use the word love lightly. We both come from similar breakups. It does mean so much to us, she said. So some guy getting dumped by his first serious girlfriend is now analogous to having your fiancé blindside you on TV? Alrighty then. Article continued below. Colton said Becca was making it easier to take his walls down. She gave him the date rose. They kissed and kissed some more on the roof of a big bus. Colton said in his voiceover that he was falling in love with Becca. Like we hadn't already guessed. The group date. Becca wanted to do something Vegas. Why with the fellas? So Wills, Garrett, Blake, John, Connor, Leo, Lincoln, Jason and Chris visited Wayne Newton, continuing the theme of hanging with celebrities who've had lots of work done on their faces that began a couple of weeks ago with Richard Marx. Wayne, who warbled a few bars of his big hit Dan Keishowin, after giving a tour of his mansion, was there to oversee the men as they wrote love songs for Becca. Whatever you think of the state of his face, at least he was being honest when he said, "There's nothing that I've heard today that I would rush out on stage and do tonight, but do it on stage. They must, in front of an audience no less." Between the puerile lyrics and bad singing, it wasn't much of a show. Chris at least got the crowd on side by wandering through the audience and making some jokes. I dropped the mic, he bragged afterwards, confident that the date rose was destined to be his. But at the cocktail party, while other men were actively strengthening their bonds with Becca, Chris sat around waiting for her to come to him. Too bad for him that Blake got to her first. Blake told Becca he was, honestly, falling in love with her, unlike poor old Jean Blanc the week before, and Becca was thrilled. "It makes me so happy. I'm falling in love with Blake," she confessed. Chris was still awaiting his one-on-one time when Becca gave the rose to Blake. "I'm embarrassed. I feel like there's no interest there," Chris huffed. for her not to spend time with me tonight makes me wonder if I even want to be here. The two-on-one date, David and Jordan, aka The Chicken and the Gentleman, should have heeded the words of their fellow contestants. Colton warned them if they didn't stop acting like rams trying to batter each other with their horns, you both are gonna fall off that mountain. And Wells noted the pair were still focused on each other when the focus should be on Becca, despite Becca's plea to just have fun and chill. In Valley of Fire State Park, David spent his alone time tattling on Jordan, claiming he was always talking about models he wanted to hook up with, that he was interested in girls he saw at the men's hotel, and that dating Becca would almost be like settling for Jordan. David was very pleased with himself for exposing the golden underpants clown. Jordan denied all of David's claims, telling Becca he was a liar. And then, he said something that was not self-absorbed for once, that he'd watched his dad love his mom for 27 years despite her having multiple mental illnesses. Don't get verklempt or anything. Jordan was back to talking about himself almost instantly, and then to her strips off David while Becca was off cogitating, telling David he lacked integrity, passion, charisma and personality. Actually, I kind of agree with Jordan on those last three. Becca dressed them both down, telling them their behavior was frustrating, annoying and petty, and made her feel like I'm back in 6th grade. Nonetheless, she sent David home and gave Jordan another chance to impress her at dinner. Jordan asked Becca one token question about herself: what's a weekend look like for you? And then he was back to talking about his gym, skin and hair care routines, his facial expressions, and wishing he could show Becca his portfolio. It's more about Jordan, Becca noted. To no one's surprise, except Jordan's, Becca sent him home too. One of his parting comments in the limo: the thing I appreciate most about her is that she stated she never met anyone like me. Tells you everything you need to know. The other men cheered when they saw Jordan's suitcase being wheeled out of their hotel suite. The rose ceremony, Becca sought Chris out first at the cocktail party because she got wind of his threat to leave after the group date. Far from being contrite, Chris opened the conversation by telling Becca she owed him 50,000 kisses. What? If he really didn't want to be there, he would have already left, Chris told Becca, assuring her he really liked her. She wasn't impressed. I want a teammate, 50-50, and that night that didn't happen, Becca retorted. After Becca walked away to think things over, Chris started to panic. First he interrupted Wills to get more time with Becca, then he complained when Wills gave him a 2-minute time limit, and enforced it. That had the other guys complaining in turn, telling Chris he wasn't the only one trying to build a relationship with Becca. When Becca finally gave Chris another audience, he insisted he was falling for her. Then why were you so quick to maybe jump ship, she asked. Chris blamed it on fear and added, the old me would have probably left. The new me realizes what I have in front of me, and what I have in front of me is something special, and I'm not gonna run away from that. Although Becca continued to look unimpressed, it was an easy guess that Chris would get the last rose of the night, which was what happened. First though, he declared that him not getting a rose would be the most devastating thing that can happen to both of us, and she'd be losing such an amazing guy with so much potential, conceded much. Becca also gave roses to Garrett, Jason, Wills, Lincoln, Leo and Connor, sending home mild-mannered software engineer John. The final 9 are off to Richmond, Virginia, next week, where Chris apparently keeps stirring the pot. And we know that Becca will get up close and kissy-faced with Jason, Wills, Garrett, Colton and Leo later in the season. Hint, Leo actually gave Becca her first Bachelorette kiss, a fact that was hidden from viewers until Becca revealed it this week. You can watch Monday at 8 p.m. on City. And you can email me at dyeo@thestar.ca, tweet me at realityo, or visit my Facebook page.